If you don't know the cost to acquire a client or get that mapped out, and you don't know the long-term value, you're going to always be playing the game of you're in the dark, you're in limbo, you don't know where your money's coming from, you don't know what's generating you real business or not. Or you can just cash in and play small and not choose to play the game at a scalable level. Because we add these up when we do this. There's actually been at least 30 strategies already shared. I must scale myself. Tony, that's amazing. That's such a good one. Like, yeah, that matters immensely. Now, here's a quick question. How many of you have ever hired agencies before or someone to come in and run your marketing for you? Can you type yes in the chat window? Daily consistency, Jody, that's awesome. David says, yes, I have. Globalization, David, or Dan, yep. Thomas says, yes, hired agencies. Now, whether you work with us or not, we're not an agency, a traditional way, but let's just say we never work together again. If you go hire anyone to come in and run your marketing, or you hire an agency, I want to give you a couple questions you should ask them in the first 5 minutes of your meeting them. And if they can't give you a solid answer, either if they're on your team already, probably fire them or look to start making a transition pretty quickly, or two, don't hire them if you're in that process. So here is the question. What are the benchmarks for me in my industry to acquire a lead, appointment, and client? Now, if they don't have some semblance of that ahead of time, don't hire them. But let's say they get that answered. The next one is, can you give me an example of what you track in marketing? And if they don't come to you with these two specifically, there's others, but these two specifically that they're going to build into whatever they do for you. Your cost to acquire the client. Some people refer to it, if you've seen around a lot of the techno babble, marketing babble, is CAC, cost to acquire client, cost to acquire a client, long-term value of the client, LTV. If they're not doing everything in the tracking to really back out to those two, don't hire them. Don't or fire them if once you get someone else to replace him who's a true pro. Just those two things will actually, and then you might go to a third. Can you describe to me like what kind of a system you're going to set up? Oh, and better yet, can you kind of show me an idea of it? Like a calendar, for example, right? If they don't hit the mark for you on those three, don't hire them and or start looking to get a pro. Now, you get what you pay for. So keep this in mind. So I want to give you some things in your vision and growth plan here that are critical. And we don't have time to go into all of them. When we work with our clients, we take our clients through 144 different checkpoints. So we're going to go through 7 or 8 just for sake of time. All right. So your vision and growth plan. Here's number one. And ideally, type it in the chat window, write this down. Ideally, you're inspired by seeing others' comments. But what problem do you solve? This is the first thing to really get tuned in on. What problem do you solve? So type it in the chat window. What problem do you solve? What problem? Juliet will go back through those questions in a little bit. People's pain to pleasure. What problem do you solve? People's pain to pleasure. I think that could be a little bit stronger, Tim, related to what, right? So what problem do you solve? What problem do you solve? But that's very good, by the way. Better than most, because if you know anything about psychology and business marketing, most people do more to avoid pain than they do to gain pleasure. So to move them from pain to pleasure. People's legal or emotional, that's great. Grief to an extent, Judy, right? So I can see we need some work on this. Either some of you are just not playing yet. Type it in. I'd really like to see grief to an extent, right? What problem do you solve? You solve their problem. Well, what is their problem? How do they say it? How do your customers say and describe to you as a client that they've got this problem? What is that? Like for us, people tell us they don't have a predictable or a steady flow of leads, appointments, and clients. Very clear. Another one, we know that they've tried other stuff that hasn't worked. We hear this. I mean, it's 99%, right? Solve their problem. Helping families create lasting photographs, memories to share with family. Good. A client makes a decision about you or your company within 7 seconds. Thomas, I wouldn't disagree. That's why the initial phases we'll talk about, and we'll get into connection campaigns, improve net income and free time. These are getting better. You know, one of our clients, she helps people reduce anxiety in 10 minutes or less. One main problem and a solution that's, very easy to understand, right? So I'd encourage you to go deeper on this. Who do you solve it for? So type, who is your client? Who is your client? Who do you solve it for, right? Who do you solve it for? Who is your ideal client? Insurance agent. Awesome. David, that's great. Who else? Law firms and individuals. Awesome. Confused how to solve with answers. John, not sure what that means, but I imagine you do. As an entertainment company, provide a qualified client, AKA Santa Claus balloon. Awesome. Face t-shirt company. Now, that has a lot of features to it, but that's not the, well, I guess that is the who. So we're talking about the who. So I'm getting a few steps ahead. Who do you solve it for? Homeowner for Al. All right. So I would encourage you again to go deeper. You know, there's this idea that, you know, you cut off if you go to a niche. Well, if you go to a niche, the truth is that you can get rich in a niche. And actually, who makes more money, specialists or generalists? Who makes more money, generalists or specialists, right? So special, everybody's saying the same thing, right? So if you're just going after homeowners, or you're just going after lawyers, or if you're just going after, you know, people who want to have parties, that's a little broad. Let's narrow it down, right? Kids who are between what age and what age? Lawyers that, you know, are in this specific area of law. Now, here's to my surprise that, you know, when I heard this years ago, I was like, well, I don't want to cut off. I don't want to cut off because I want to, right? And what I found is that when you really become a specialist, you will attract, like we have a client that they do something that is like unbelievable. They're a company that actually does re-engineering of accidents. Crazy. Who would have known? We got another client in the manufacturing business. They do printing and books and things like that. But they had gotten into our stuff and they were like, can you help us? And once we did a full analysis and review like we do, we were like, yes, we can. And that particular manufacturing company, actually, we helped grow over a couple of years and they just sold in the last 30 days, right? So who is your perfect client, right? Who do you solve it for? It's a key question. I'd encourage you to come back to this, right? So get these questions. No, number 3, are you committed to solve their problem? Are you committed? You know, hopefully that's a yes, but you have to tune into that and don't just take it at a surface and assume. Are you truly committed to serve it and solve it? Are you truly committed to solve it, right? Is it a yes? Is it a maybe? Is it you know, in the right situation? Yes or no, right? Next, what's your cost to acquire a client? Now, a lot of you may not know this today, which is normal. Almost 94% of our clients we work with don't know what it really costs to acquire their, I'm going to call it their premium client, the one that they want to do the most business with. You know, if someone's in an education business, it doesn't mean the one for a book model, although you do track that. We're talking about the one for the main core item. So what does it cost you to acquire a client? Go ahead and type that in the chat window. I'd love to see the range that people have. Now, if you're only relying on word of mouth or referrals, you're going to likely have a low number. And if you don't know, just type, I don't know. Just be real about it, right? Zippy, thank you. Trying to figure it out, right? If it's free, that's great, Tim. However, I'm not sure how scalable that can be. Tony, I don't know. This is very common. We want to help solve that. Next, what is the lifetime value of a client for you? Type it in. How much? So for example, Starbucks, did you know that the average Starbucks, I don't know how many of you have gotten Starbucks. I know I've gotten Starbucks over the years. My wife does pretty regularly. The average person, you and me, if we go to Starbucks at least once, $14,000 lifetime value. Isn't that remarkable? $14,000 lifetime value. So what's yours? Now, if you don't know, again, just put, I don't know. Be real about it. Over 95% of people we work with as private clients don't know until we get in there and help set things up, right? Zippy, 20 grand. That's amazing. Tim, tough question for long-term value. Well, let's make sure to get that clear. Because I will share this. If you don't know the cost to acquire a client or get that mapped out and you don't know the long-term value, you're going to always be playing the game of you're in the dark, you're in limbo, you don't know where your money's coming from, you don't know what's generating you real business or not. Or you can just cash in and play small and not choose to play the game at a scalable level, right? So David, 3448, that's pretty specific. That's great. So here's a question. Again, if it's I don't know, just type IDK or I'm not sure, whatever, right? It's okay. We all start somewhere. In my first 10 years, I did not know the long-term value of my clients. Learn this after that. It changes your business when you have this certainty and clarity. Then what happens is you do start expanding at scale. You start tracking per traffic source what these things are because they will vary a little bit. Juliet, 9,478. So if you know the cost to acquire a client, right, and you know the lifetime value, well, if your lifetime value is like Juliet's at 9,478, what could Julie at or you afford to invest to acquire a client? Would you invest $100, $500, $1,000, $2,000, $2,500? Right? Would you, if you put $1 in any program and you got 4 back, would you take it? And you do want to be in about a 3 to 4 range because there are costs of goods, expenses to run and manage the business at scale and so on. So you do typically want to make sure that this is about at minimum 3x, but many people, if they really engineer this the way we show them, they can get it to 5x, 7x, 10x, 20x, even more. When you know. If you don't know, though, you don't know what you don't know until you know what you don't know. And that's playing roulette. That is gambling. The reason most people feel like their marketing is off is because they're playing gambling and they don't know these two. And you most of the time have not met experts who've really shown you how important these are. But if you do know that your value is $9,000, well, what can you afford to spend to invest in? And why not outspend your competition? If you've ever heard Dan Kennedy, who's one of the great direct marketing minds in the history of marketing, says the key is actually not to try to be the cheapest, it's try to outspend your competition. So do you want to play small or do you want to scale? That's up to you. If you want to scale, though, you got to scale you and you got to scale this kind of thinking. Next, if you were to identify, if you were to get 10 new clients, like some of our clients do in a month or a week, or even one a month or 10 in the next 12 months, what would 10 new clients be worth to you? So go ahead and write down that number, type it in the chat window. I'd love to see what you have. By the way, I have a bunch of screens here. So if you see me looking here and looking here, looking here, looking here, I got all kinds of, and for an ADD brain like mine, it's a little wacky. So just bear with me. What would 10 new clients be worth to you, right? Type it in the chat window. We've got a client we're working with right now, 10 new clients, it'd be worth $1 million, actually 1.2. He has $120,000 average ticket for that. So 10 times that would be 1.2. What is yours, right? 20K a month. Awesome. What are 10 new clients? So that'd be about $2,000 per client. 10 new clients would be worth to you, right? Now, how many ways currently do you have clients coming to you? From how many sources? Do you have sources like events, Facebook and Instagram, Google pay-per-click, Google display, Google LSA, Google or phone, LinkedIn, YouTube, texting, direct mail, TV, radio, newsletters, digital newsletter, physical newsletter, SEO, video content, partners, email week? How many? How many different sources of traffic do you have bringing you clients right now? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? Type it in. I see a 1. What else? How many? Google. So it looks like 2, 3. 3 of those. Looks like 3. 3. We got 6 from David. 1. And are they all profitable? Or do you know? See, if you don't know those numbers we just shared earlier, it's hard to actually truly know. We're only guessing. Let's stop guessing. We want to help you stop guessing. And on top of that, on top of stop guessing, if they're really profitable for you, is you get them dialed in. So imagine what it would be like in a year if you had 15, 16, 17. And now let's say, if you know what goes on in this world of digital marketing, the big company shifts its algorithm yet again, because they do about every 3 to 6 months. And you know this too, if you're doing any digital advertising or your team has done it, they're going to shift it. You're not beating them. You're just not. It's also not set up for really small businesses under 20 million to really play and win. So when they change the algorithm, how are you impacted by it? Are you on that roller coaster with them because that's really your main source? Or do you have it diversified enough to protect your business, to keep it safe, that if you dip by 50%, you got 9, 10, 11 other sources bringing you a handful of leads and clients each, so that, yeah, you might take a slight dip, but it's more like driving over a speed bump in a parking lot than it is like falling into one of those big giant holes, wormholes that people fall into with their cars and stuff. We want to help you avoid those big giant wormholes feeling, or that deep roller coaster ride, and it's a speed bump. Some of this are the ways to be able to do that. So again, we come back to vision and growth plan. Now there's more with our vision and growth plan. We just want to give you as much value, because if you take this and you apply it to whatever you're doing right now, you're going to be further ahead. You're going to be faster. You start tracking this daily, weekly, monthly, you'll be amazed at what it'll do for you, right? So we've covered some basics of the vision and growth plan, probably you've not heard of before. Number 2, we're going to go to connection campaigns. Now, there's all kinds of different sources of connection campaigns, from Google to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and a whole lot more. Why do we do connection campaigns? One, we got to get their interest. They got to know us. We want to build respect in a cool, genuine, authentic way. I mean, have you seen some experts who try too hard? You know what I'm talking about? They try too hard to impress people instead of connect with people. This is why we call them connect campaigns, connection campaigns, not impress campaigns. It's not about going out and standing in front of your Rolls Royce and private jet nonsense, right? It's about connecting with people that they know that you understand them. There's a great quote from someone I've been fortunate enough to work through his program. His name's Dan Sullivan. He says, people don't buy from us when they understand us. They buy from us when they feel understood. So we get them to know us, connect with us. We get them to respect us, not because of a bunch of blowhardedness, but because we're authentic, we're genuine, we speak about the problems that they are dealing with. We relate to them. And then we also build trust along the way. And that's earned over time, right? So why to do these? It's going to build more respect. It's going to build more trust. It's going to build more, it will build as a byproduct likability, but we're not leading with that. And it sets the stage for them to want to move forward with you versus being repelled. A lot of marketing today we see when we diagnose our clients' businesses, and maybe yours at some point, is that most of it is marketing prevention instead of marketing attraction. We want to help you avoid that, right? So a couple cool ways that you can do this. For example, one of our clients, Greg here, he runs the service business in Minnesota. I brought him up earlier. You might ask yourself, well, what do I do to create connection cam? You can do it in written text. You can do it in videos. There's a bunch of different ways to be able to do this. So Greg created a how-to video about 3 minutes long that says why you need to consider a heat pump. Why you need to consider a heat pump. Education-based. And here's a quick script for you. So here's the promise, like, why do you need a heat pump? Why is this important to you? That's the second question. Why is it important? Give them the strategy and then give them a call to action. That's as simple as it really needs to be. So you ideally give them the hook to the promise, the why they need it, why it's important to them, and then a call to action. It's that simple. That's all these are. So we take a service tech, blue collar guy, Greg, who's not a natural on camera. He would say that himself if he were here, but he records how-to education videos this way. And this particular video, for example, in one platform, we work with many, this one set of videos has gotten over 400,000 views at between 1 and 3 cents per view to his specific homeowner market that he wants based on demographic, psychographic, and more. Intentional, not accidental. Intentional and on purpose, not accidental. Like if you had your main market right now had an extra 404,000 views working for you 24/7. Oh, look like we got a little screen outage here. Let me put it back up. If you had 24/7 in advance of doing business with your marketplace, or while they were thinking about you, have you ever had that feeling with some business? Golly, they're everywhere. Well, what if you could replicate that for as little as 1 cent to 3 cents per ideal client and build trust, respect, and not know of you in advance? How would it shift the game for you? But it doesn't stop there. This is a client we've worked with just under 2 years until he sold his business. Manufacturing company, very little in digital marketing and digital assets prior to us working together. Joe similarly created education, a series of them, right? About once a month, once every couple of weeks. We base this when we work with clients, we just base it on the founder. So how many of you have ever heard, to be relevant, you've got to post 50 to 60 to 70 times a day on social media? Have you ever heard this nonsense? Who wants that? As a small business, who has the team or the time or the resources to do that? So we go, well, how about we just map out one video every couple of weeks or one a month? And then we can apply the strategies with the digital things we're talking about right now between 1 and 3 cents per view. And Joe's company, you can see here, got just about 3 million views globally for his specific audience, demographic, psychographic, interest levels. How would that change the game, again, for you to build knowledge, trust, respect in the journey, working for you 24/7 without you, right? Again, you just many times need the game plan. And the best part is it doesn't stop with just one platform. You can do this in Facebook and Instagram and Google and YouTube and TikTok and so on, if you just know how to do it, right? And if you had these kind of connection campaigns out there for you, Do you think it just might shorten the sales cycle? Do you think it might bring you more of a steady flow of clients regularly? Because how many do you really need out of 3.4 million? And his clients are big, high ticket, high value, high, doing what they're doing. Connection can mean everything. What could it mean for you? I'm curious, what's your takeaway from this segment? What's your takeaway from this segment? Type it in the chat. Just to recap, we've covered the vision and growth plan. It's some of the foundation pieces. Were those all Facebook ads? John, yes, those were. Those two examples. That's typically one of the faster places we can get most of our clients started right now. And then we start moving into the other ones like YouTube. IG usually goes with Facebook, so it's a good question. Then we go into things like Rumble. We go to Reddit. There's very similar models in these, LinkedIn, etc. Yep. All right. So we've covered vision and growth plan. We've covered elements of the connection campaigns. Do you have some, can you see how these would help you? Can you see how having connection campaigns strategically and on purpose and intentionally can help shorten the sales cycle? There's more. We go into lead machines. Step number 3, lead machines. We won't break this, we won't have time to go into the engineering of it all, but essentially, this, you got traffic. You've got a landing page you drive people to. They opt in and register. You've seen and done this before probably. You go to a thank you page. Then the real key of this is that you've got follow-up. In our approach and what we recommend for our small business clients is you have email, you have text, you have phone broadcast and or live if they have the capability, and you have remarketing ads to those people who've opted in. So it does create a sense. And literally by the way, you might ask, well, how much does it cost to do these kind of ads? $1 to $5 a day. So much less than you could ever imagine. The key is just knowing how to do it, right? So warm up emails, text, phone broadcast. Again, what are we doing? We got to get them to know us, respect us, trust us. Now we're looking to move them through this bridge to just say, hey, I'm willing to try you, John. I'm willing to try you, Al. I'm willing to try you, Evelyn. I'm willing to try you, Tim. We're moving people through this process very intentionally. Right? Here's an example. You've seen this, I'm sure, 1,001 times, right? It's like building a campfire. You build, light some paper, get some kindling, you put some branches on it, and you grow and grow, right? So this is a landing page. Pretty simple. One of our clients, Jill, in the PR industry, jumpstart your visibility. There's some bullet points. Register now for this free tool. She wanted to go beyond referrals. And so it was giving away. This is an ad we started also on Facebook to start, because again, we get a start. And then we start expanding once we got a base, right? These were 448 leads in a short window at $4.31 a lead, where we're moving them through that journey to bridge the gap between know, respect, trust, and now let's test it, try it, and go to another level with programs, right? So we've had clients we work with that we've grown them from where they were to, up and down, just relying on referral leads, to 5 leads a day, 10 leads a day, 20 leads a day. I've got a couple examples I'm going to show you here in a second. But what would you having an extra 10 leads a day do for your company right now, especially qualified? What would 50 do? What would 100? Some of you are a little further ahead of the game, and we work with clients that way too. What would an extra couple hundred leads a day do for you and your team, for your scaling, right? And doing it profitably? How would it change the game? How would it impact you? And if you're not doing connection campaigns the way we're showing you for $1 to $5 a day, and if you're not really intentionally building lead campaigns to drive high quality leads every day, how is that slowing you down? What's it costing you? And is that what you want? Right? I would imagine you're here because it's not what you want. And so if what you want are more leads, more appointments, more clients, then we're going to keep going. So vision and growth plan, connection campaigns, basics of lead machines. And now here's the thing. What would getting your marketing system dialed up? Take each of those 5 numbers and move them up 2 to 3 notches in the next 3 months. What would it do for you? Would it give you more freedom? Would it give you more peace of mind, more comfort, more clarity, more certainty, more ability to do more of the things you want to do, more ability to scale, actually bring in team members that you could bring in? And what would expanding your spokes do for you? What would expanding your spokes do for you? If wherever you're at today, whatever number of spokes, and you were able to get 15, 16, 17 spokes in the next, quarter, 6 months, 12 months, even 24 months, what would it do? How would it shift the game, right? If you want to scale, the plan is here. right? And so have you gotten some good stuff? If you've learned some good things in this first segment before we roll to the next segment in a few minutes, have you learned some good things? If you could type yes in the chat window. And I'd love to know what's one thing you've gotten that's the biggest, most impactful thing so far. Type it in, please. One key takeaway. Al says yes. Thank you, Al. Speed to implement. John, that's awesome. Who else? Who else? Posting to more places. Yeah, it can start with simple actions like that, Judy. Right? So again, you have the ability to do manual and or by speed. My belief is do both where you can. Do it smart, do it profitably. That's what we are talking about all today. So that's posting to more places. That's great. What else? One key strategy from today. Evelyn, how about for you? Bentley, how about for you? Brendan, how about for you? Bruce, how about for you? Chuck, how about for you? Dan, how about for you? Dana, how about for you? Derek, how about for you? Good to see you again. Gene, Jake, John, Jolene, how about for you? Jody, Margaret, Mita, Richard, Susan, Thomas, Tracy, Zippy, more spokes on the wheel. Susan, that's great. Yeah, more spokes on the wheel. So I've already asked this, so I just got ahead of this a little bit. Now, I'd like you to imagine for a second, like what we've been talking about. I want you to imagine you having come in here today, and ideally you're feeling like this. You're feeling bulletproof, in fact. You're seeing how the spokes in the wheel help you become bulletproof against cycles of the big companies to protect you, to keep you safe. Maybe to go feel like you're the world's best kept secret, like we talked about from the beginning, just waiting for the screen to pull back up.
The what?
So maybe you feel like the world's best kept secret, like we talked about this,
Baby.
Phil. Maybe you feel like the world's best kept secret. Maybe you feel like this painter, that you have something of value to the world, to the market, but you're undervalued and people are only willing to give you $300. When you see something like this, that you would argue, wow, I can do better than that. I am doing better than that. I do better than that every day, twice on Tuesday, if not 100 times a day. And this went for 1.5 million, right? So what would it be worth for you to have the system in place? Because at this point, you might be excited, but you just don't know what to do next. Maybe you're excited by the possibility, the ability to grow, and you're at a place where you don't want to make the same mistakes maybe you've made in the past, or maybe try something else that maybe hasn't worked for you. So I want to eliminate all of that risk for you right now. And that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to eliminate any risk for you at this point, because what do you need right now for your own mastery in business and success? What do you need? Do you need accountability? Do you need peer support? Do you need the strategy? Do you need the ability to have a system that's being built for you, run for you, managed for you? Well, guess what? If any of those things are true, and there's a whole lot more, like even education and fueling that fire, what if my team actually helped you implement and get this in place? What if our team helped you get everything we've been talking about in place for you? Would you want us to do that? Type yes in the chat window if you'd like to go faster and find out how we can help you implement and execute this directly with no risk. Speed is key. Yes, yes. See, yes is coming in. Yes, Gene, yes. Great. Well, guess what? We can, and we're going to show you how. But first, what if I told you it won't cost you a dime to get started? It's true. That's true. It won't cost you a dime to get started. We're going to help you avoid the mistakes. We're going to help you see blind spots, get unstuck, eliminate the tech headaches. And I want us and our team to get on the phone with you. Take everything from a broad place, and we're going to narrow it down. And we're going to discuss exactly where you are right now. We're going to discuss and show you how we can implement this for you. And we're going to do all of that for free. Now, you might naturally go, well, Dan, why would you do that? Well, I'm looking for the perfect fit to be our next big success story with our show, our book, more books that we have for 2025 rolling in the next couple years, an online TV show and a TV show network-wise that we're building into. And we need to know if we're a good fit. And if you are, we'll invite you to move forward with us. And the beauty is we meet you where you're at. You know, if you're a smaller business, we've got a smaller plan to stair step up into, because, you know, there's no point in talking about things you can't afford, right? The key is how committed are you? Like with that third question earlier today, are you committed to solve your problems for your clients? Well, number one, you got to solve your problems for you. And one of those problems may be marketing. So if you want our help for free, for us to review and do a custom plan, we're going to make it super easy, eliminate any potential friction, by talking to you about your plan. You can go to breakthrough3x.com. When we have our discussion, we'll unlock some of the things we're going to talk about with our Breakthrough 3X Marketing Copilot. We're going to give you your customized plan, take it from broad to now narrow, specific, and we're going to introduce you to the proven strategies that we would do if we were in your shoes, and then we'll customize the plan and invite you to move forward with us. And if we've got a fit, we'll move forward. If we don't, you can take that plan and go implement it. You know, I don't know if you know who this guy is. Anybody know who Jay Abraham is? So I've been blessed and fortunate to, serve Jay at a really cool level, and as a result, create some reciprocation with Jay and also earn his time and respect in the work and what we do. He says, Dan has dedicated a large portion of the last decade to help small businesses from all over the country grow and increase or turn around their profit picture. If you know anything about Jay, he doesn't easily endorse anyone. He does it through direct response mechanisms. He's got a lot of proprietary approaches. He's very, very strong on branding. He's somebody I've known for a long time. He has integrity. He helps people. He's one of the good guys. Operates in a realm I don't. He helps clients of all sizes and types. This model is geared to meet you where you're at, and we can help you. I don't know if you know who Joe Polish is. If not, no big deal. Joe says, we talk about our unique mechanisms. Joe calls out a few because we have them in our book, by the way, because I don't want to let anything get in the way of us helping you. Even our most advanced strategies are in the book for you to use. So at the very least, you've got that. But he says, if you're an entrepreneur trying to grow your business, it's vital to focus on getting and keeping customers. Would you agree? Right? Get and keep customers. In this new book, Dan focuses on the key elements you can implement. 5 pillars of direct response branding, the right fit filter, the ultimate pricing formula. If you ever felt like you priced too little or want to price more, how to go about doing that in a strategic way. The ultimate pricing formula, the education-based event model. He'll help you create irresistible offers. If your offers are not selling, it's probably not the marketing. It's your offer. Most people don't even put time into it. Work with clients you love, grow your business. This is a book you can refer to over and over. And it just so happened that we helped Joe expand Genius Network while we did what we're talking about here today as well. So if you want our team to help you, you can go to breakthrough3x.com/apply. Schedule your free one-to-one consultation. We'll review your business. We'll review your map. We'll give you a custom roadmap of what we would do and applying these 5 key strategies, help you find those hidden blind spots and a whole lot more. So go to breakthrough3x.com/apply.